Welcome to a special episode of Realistic Fishing. On today's episode, we're going to talk about something important. 5 reasons why beginner fishermen should not buy expensive gear. I get comments all the time about how cheap the gear I'm using is, how I need to buy better stuff, how I should be using expensive Shimano's and all these other fancy name brands. But to me, that's all bullshit. I primarily focus on beginner fishing because those are the people who need the most help. Those are the people who are the most easily taken advantage of, and having a background in purchasing, I feel I can really help them out by distinguishing what's bullshit marketing and what's actually good for a beginner fisherman. So here we go with my 5 reasons not to buy expensive gear. Reason 1. Beginners break stuff. They're inexperienced, they're clumsy, they don't always know what they're doing. They snap lines, they lose rigs, they hit trees, they break poles, they close them in car doors. All of these kind of things I have done myself. Imagine you bought a $400 rod and you snapped the top off in a car door. Now imagine you bought a $20 rod and you snapped the top off in a car door. Which one do you think is going to hurt more? Of course, the $400 rod. You could have replaced that $20 rod over and over and over again instead of buying that super expensive one. A beginner is going to want to start with a cheap rod and reel combo for this very reason. You're going to go out there, you're going to get snagged on something, you're going to yank it free, the rod's going to whip back and hit a tree and crack. There are a ton of scenarios that could go wrong for a beginner. Not just snagging on stuff, you can drop it. It could get yanked into the water. It can fall out of the back of your truck. There are a lot of problems that can occur due to inexperience. That's exactly why I buy this cheap line. Imagine if you bought a spool of $17 Power Pro braid, right? Because someone on a fancy YouTube channel said, Power Pro braid is the way to go. When you get a backlash so bad that you have to cut it all off with a razor, you're going to feel gutted. When you backlash with line that cost $1.50, you're going to be like, meh, and you're just going to keep trying. Alright, reason number 2. Expensive fishing lures don't actually make you a better fisherman. An expensive fishing reel doesn't actually make you a better fisherman. Power Pro braid will not make you a better fisherman. There's a small percentage of how good you are that is directly related to the quality of your gear. However, for a beginner, experience and practice is like this important. What kind of gear you're learning on is like this important. As you get better, this will go down, this will go up. Certain gear, might not be able to keep up with you if you're bombing swim baits out there and burning them back. A little cheapy bait caster might not hold up so long. But when you're a beginner and you're still learning to flip and pitch, you're still learning to cast, you're still learning to use different lures, different rigs, you're getting a feel for the different line, etc. You can learn it all on cheap stuff. And when I say cheap, I don't mean super cheap plastic crap from China on AliExpress that you can tell is going to break in 5 minutes. I'm talking about entry-level name brand stuff. I'm talking about house brand stuff from reputable sporting goods stores. Academy, Dick's, Field and Stream, Bass Pro, that kind of stuff. Start out on the $40 combo. Don't start out on the $400 combo. Like I said, it's not actually going to make you better. Practice is what's going to make you better. And going back to the first reason, if you broke that $400 combo, you will be gutted. You will even possibly hate fishing for a while. So that's just another reason why you should start out with cheaper gear. Reason number 3 is going to be touchy for some people. I get a lot of stuff like, well, if it's good enough for a professional, it's good enough for me. Well, yes and no. First off, that professional is most likely paid to tell you to use that item. They get all those Berkeleys, all those Rapalas, all this line, whatever they're sponsored by, they are comped all of that so they can tell you how good it is, so you actually go pay for it. There's a little bit of a misdirection there, because you are definitely not going to become a pro if you use them. You need to keep in mind that there's a certain level of marketing involved in every sales transaction. When someone famous is trying to sell you something, they're trying to sell you a little bit of, you'll be famous like me. Rarely do these famous people break down exactly why this product will help you. You know, occasionally they'll say stuff like, it has good action, it dives deep, but a lot of lures have good action, a lot of lures dive deep. You can get an H2O Express lure that probably mimics that action very close for about half the price. They'll never tell you that though. They're getting paid to tell you to buy this brand. They're not your buddy. They're just trying to get you to buy stuff. So, the third reason, just because someone else uses it, isn't necessarily going to make you a better fisherman. Alright, another reason, number 4, to not buy expensive gear as a beginner is because you want to save that money for stuff that will actually help you become a better fisherman. Instead of spending $200 on a rod because Tactical Bassin mentions it, spend that $200 on a cheap bait caster, a cheap spinning rod, some spinner baits, some soft plastics, some hooks, some weights. Spread that out to actually broaden your experience. Buy a few different kinds of line, see what you like. Try that finesse braid, try that mono, hell, try that fluoro. By not buying that $200 rod, you can try all of that stuff. So if your swim bait game sucks, buy some swim baits, buy some swim bait hooks, jig heads. You see where I'm going with this? Instead of blowing a big wad of money in one spot, spread it out and increase your chances of becoming a better fisherman. Buy some worms, some tackle boxes, a bunch of different kinds of line, a bunch of different kinds of lures, a few different less expensive rods, a few reels. Mix it up, get some experience, experiment, and become better. Actually become better. On to reason number 5. I think this one is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but it has to be said. If you have a $400 combo and you don't know what you're doing, you don't look cool. You look like an ass. Have you ever seen a kid out there playing sports? He's got the new jersey, he's got the $200 shoes, he's got Oakleys on and a designer cap, and he sucks. That kid is $800 worth of sucks and 10 minutes worth of talent. No one actually gives a shit about what that kid is doing. He looks like he knows what he's doing, and he's going to get attention for about 5 seconds, right? They're going to be like, wow, look at all that gear. And then they're going to be like, he can't even throw the ball. You don't want to be one of those guys. You want to be one of the guys who has all the gear and knows what they're doing. And you know how you get there? By practicing. Practice on the cheap stuff. Get good. Know what you want in your gear. Then buy that expensive gear with those subtle nuances that you are really looking for. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it works well for you. It doesn't mean you look cool. It doesn't mean you're a professional. Thanks for watching Realistic Fishing. Keep it realistic.